For 20 years, I believed that I had the kind of love that everyone envied. Angela and I had been through a lot. Problems in college, changing jobs, the birth of 2 children, the death of our parents, starting a new life when fate dealt us a blow. Of course, we weren't perfect, but we had everything. At least, that's what I believed. She was my best friend, my partner in everything, the only person I trusted with my soul. I never, not for a moment, believed that anything could erase 20 years of devotion and love. But it happened. It was one of those nights. The sun was shining through the trees near our house in the suburbs, and Angela was getting dressed in our bedroom. I stood in the doorway watching her apply lipstick, dressed in a dark blue dress, her hair done, a light scent of roses wafting from her perfume. She looked gorgeous, and I felt proud. She was 42, and she still took my breath away. She looked up at me and smiled. "Jess is finally getting married," she said, picking up her purse. "We're having a little girls' night out tonight, just us girls." I laughed. "You deserve a night out. Go have fun. Just don't forget who you belong to, who you're coming home to." She winked. "Never." She kissed me on the cheek and left, her heels clicking on the porch steps, the scent of her perfume lingering in the air even after she was gone. I watched her taillights disappear into the distance, then returned to the house, unaware that I would never see her like that again. The night passed slowly. I turned on a movie but didn't watch it. I scrolled through my phone, mindlessly opening apps, paced around the room, waiting for her to text me that everything was okay. But there were no messages. Midnight turned into 1 o'clock, then 2, and I finally fell asleep at 3 in the morning, trying to convince myself that she had just fallen asleep at the hotel with her friends. After all, she was in the company of women she had known for years. What could have gone wrong? At 8 a.m., she stumbled into the house, holding her high heels in her hands, her makeup smeared and her mint-colored dress wrinkled. She looked like she had been through a storm. I sat at the kitchen table with a cup of cold coffee, my heart pounding. "You didn't tell me anything," I said in a flat tone. She smiled weakly. "We went through everything. I passed out in a hotel room. I didn't want to drive." And the way she avoided my gaze made me feel sick. I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. But the fact that she limped into the shower without answering my gaze dashed all my hopes and set off alarm bells in my chest that I couldn't ignore. Silence fell, and subtle changes began. Angela became distracted. She was constantly on her phone, and every time I walked into the room, she hid it under her pillow. Her laughter was empty, and she barely touched me. I asked her what was wrong. "Work is really stressing me out," she replied. I wanted to give her some space so I wouldn't be such a controlling husband. So I didn't say anything, even though everything in me was screaming that something was wrong. A week passed before the truth came out with the force of a destructive hurricane. Angela was taking a shower, and her phone was charging in the kitchen. I reflexively glanced at the message that appeared on the screen. "Last weekend was crazy. I can still feel your lips. Same time next month?" My blood ran cold. I read the entire conversation and held the phone in my hands, which seemed to be shaking. Everything I had ever wanted was shattered before my eyes. Photos, videos, messages. Angela in some cheap motel kissing a guy I'd never seen before. As far as I could tell, he was a stripper hired specifically to entertain the bachelorette party. The messages were explicit, intimate, full of things I could never have imagined her saying to another man. My heart pounded in my chest as I reread all the evidence of her infidelity. She came back from the bathroom wrapped in a towel, and I was sitting at the table with her phone in my hand. When she saw my face, she froze. "Who is he?" I asked quietly. She froze. She looked at the phone in my hand. "The man from the hotel. Who is he?" She looked down. Her lips parted, but no words came out. "I saw everything," I said, speaking a little louder. The photos, the messages. You cheated on me. Tears filled her eyes. It was a mistake. I was drunk. It was just one night. One night? I threw the phone on the table. One night can't erase 20 years, not if you don't let it. Then she started crying and her voice broke as she tried to explain. We were dancing. He was flirting. I felt alive again. I don't even know how it happened. Didn't you think about me? About the kids? I didn't think, she whispered. That was the problem. She didn't think. Or maybe she should have thought. And that was even worse. That night, I stayed in the guest room. There was a scene in the movie where the film started rolling and images flashed across the screen at a frantic pace. Every birthday, every anniversary, every whispered, "I love you," seemed like a lie, poisoned by her betrayal. There was something in the air that they could feel. Our children wondered what had gone wrong. My daughter was the first to approach me. 2 days later, she found me crying in the garage. I didn't want her to see my tears. Dad, is it true that you and Mom are getting divorced? She asked. I couldn't lie to her. I told her the truth as gently as I could. Her face contorted. She cried in my arms, asking why, asking how. I had no answers. My son reacted differently. He became silent. He avoided Angela completely. The pain in his eyes mirrored my own. Angela tried to fix things. She cried every day. She wrote to me at work. She offered therapy, trips, romantic dates, anything to save our marriage. I agreed to therapy. Not because I believed it would save us, but because I wanted to understand why. I wanted to hear from her what had gone wrong, what I hadn't noticed. But every time she said, "I'm sorry," I felt nothing. I got angry every time she said, "It was just physical." Every time she said, "I still love you," I saw the man from the hotel room holding her the way I used to hold her. Love without respect is not love, it's selfishness. Finally, I realized I couldn't wait any longer. The trust was gone. Our home was no longer warm and cozy. 3 months later, I filed for divorce. When I told her, Angela broke down. She sobbed on the floor. "Please, we can work this out. Don't leave me." "You left when you kissed him," I said. "You just didn't realize it." I gave her the house. I didn't need it. Now it was full of ghosts. The children decided to stay with me. We rented a house on the other side of town. It was smaller and quieter, but it was ours. Honest and free from lies. At that moment, our whole small town knew about it. Angela became an outcast. Her friends distanced themselves from her. Her sister called me, crying and begging for forgiveness, saying she didn't know. 6 months later, Angela was fired. Her sparkle disappeared. Her shame became her essence. I gradually began to recover. I revived hobbies I hadn't pursued in a long time. Photography, writing, hiking. I learned to be alone, but not lonely. But one day I found a letter in my mailbox. No stamp. Just my name. It was from her. She wrote about her regret, about how she lost everything in one stupid, glamorous evening. She told the police that she wanted him to forgive her, so that she could be forgiven, not so that they could be together again. I didn't reply. What else can you say when words have lost their meaning? The divorce was a year ago. I feel better. My children are healing, and I'm smiling again for the first time in a long time, but not because someone gave it to me, but because I went through it all. They say one night doesn't make a man, but sometimes it does. Life can be destroyed in one night. 2 decades can fall apart in one evening. This night changes everything for them and for their future. Angela made her choice, and I made mine. I chose to survive. I chose to move on. I chose to live. The end.